Hey everyone, the devs just finished up their update 1.12 live stream, and so I'm going to give you a quick summary, but you should know there is a lot of stuff in this update, so I'll try to get through it as quick as possible, but really, you might want to sit down. So the first thing they touched on in this video was that there are some important bug fixes that they have addressed with this update, and that includes the mini reload bugs that should be resolved with update 1.12, but of course we will have to test it on the test server when that goes live. And then they also addressed the left side peek advantage, so they realigned the camera to make this less of an issue now. Gone is the left side advantage, and they showed some images which you can see here. Also coming with this update are new quest lines. There are 2 new quest lines that we will actually see on the test server. Something to note is that on the test server, both of these quest lines will be live at the same time, but when they go to the live servers, they'll actually be one after the other. And they also adjusted the unlock values so you can progress through the quest line faster on the test server, so you can try out all the new stuff, and there's some very interesting stuff which we'll talk about in a second. But the 2 quest lines are called the Ward of the Reptilian and Vengeance of the Skinned. You'll notice a theme throughout this update. It is very gator themed. I don't want to speculate too much about what that means, but there is a lot of alligator stuff going on here. Okay, so on to the quest lines. They made a lot of improvements. I'll show you some of the screenshots. Something interesting to note with the quest lines is the introduction of these new gator traps. They talked about them a little bit, but I don't want to go into it too much here, but that is something in the world that will be part of these quest lines that you'll need to do to unlock each of these acts. So those are the quest lines. Again, I don't want to spend too much time on it. You will see more of it in the test server. I highly recommend you download it. Okay, on to the new weapons that are being added with this update, and these are pretty exciting. They are going to be unlocked through the quest lines, so you'll have to progress through them. And like I said, the quest lines will be happening at the same time on the test server, and you can progress through them faster. So if you want these weapons, download the test server. Okay, so the first weapon is the Centennial Shorty. This is a medium slot, medium ammo weapon. It's the Centennial, but a cut down version of it. It has a reduced magazine capacity. Now it's 5+1 and 12, but this is, it's the Centennial. Same custom ammo, all of that. And then another variant of the Centennial Shorty is the Centennial Shorty Silencer. Quite a mouthful, but it has the usual Hunt Showdown suppressor that will affect its stats to where its damage drop off is faster, and it looks really great and will open the opportunity for some interesting medium builds. And I'm excited to see what happens with that. Also, we got to look at the Springfield KRAG bayonet. It's the Springfield KRAG, but with a bayonet. That is not a riposte, so mainly about stabbing people, not slash attacks. We also got the Springfield KRAG sniper. That's the sniper scope on a Springfield KRAG. Not much to say about it, but it is also coming with this update. Another very big addition with this update is a new scripted tutorial, which will be voiced by Doug Cockle, which is the voice of Geralt, The Witcher, if you've played those games. So this new scripted tutorial is replacing the old tutorial system, and now this will give new players a much more detailed look about how Hunt Showdown plays out. There's a basic tutorial and an advanced tutorial, and really this looks so impressive and honestly felt like the opening of a Hunt Showdown campaign. I think veteran players are going to want to play this too. It's also the first hunter with a voice, so we actually got some voice acting in the game. Could mean big things for the future. And we can't spend too much time on that because we have more stuff to talk about. There is some equipment screen refinement. Thank God they have finally fixed it to where you can select legendaries for each weapon. They are not separated as individual instances. So in the menu, you will have a weapon, and then these arrows you can click through to select which legendary skin you want applied to that. And the menu will remember which one you select. So if you have a favorite skin, you can just keep buying that same weapon with that same skin applied. On to the next thing, we have wildcard contracts, which is an experiment. I can't stress that enough. This is an experiment. It is not a definitive edition of how it's going to work, but we are seeing the introduction of the wildcard contracts. So this gives players the ability to have a second contract to choose from, which is something we've talked about a lot on this channel. It will be a different contract than the regular rotation, and for testing purposes, this wildcard contract will be night as a time of day. So this is just a test. Keep that in mind. It won't be running all the time, but you will see it, and I'm sure Crytek will be very vocal about when it's active. So in the standard contract, there will be no nighttime maps at all, but if you want to, you can queue into the wildcard contract, and that will have night maps. So you can actually build a nighttime loadout. Maybe you want flares, maybe you want a flashlight. You can do all that stuff, and you'll actually have the ability to plan out what you're gonna bring. Okay, another huge addition is this combat log beta. So now we finally have the ability to see what was happening before we died. So that's outgoing damage, incoming damage, what you were doing, who you were damaging, if you got healed, all of that stuff. And it pops up when you're dead in this very handy list, and you can separate those items by inbound and outbound damage. So that's very exciting, and I can't wait to test that out. Also, we are getting an overhaul of weapon statistics. We are getting more transparent data on the weapons. That's like damage, reload, rate of fire, all of this stuff is in the menu now, and it looks a lot cleaner. It makes me a little worried that gun guides will look dated now, but that's okay, I will fix that somehow. Not too much to talk about there, but there are overhauled weapon statistics to give players a much more clear picture about what it's like to use a weapon. And then we also got some exciting solo gameplay changes, and there were trait updates with this. So with Necromancer, solos can revive themselves again, but they've increased the time it takes to self-revive from 4 seconds to 10 seconds. So it takes longer to self-revive, giving players more of a chance to reload or revive an ally, whatever they need to do. And they also fixed some related bugs with this, where the server would shut down. We talked about that in a previous video. Next, Magpie saw some changes. One change that applies to all players. Now, if you pick up a bounty using Magpie, you get all 3 effects. So that's poison, stamina, and health regen. If you have Magpie, all of that applies. And then for solo players only, this will be a little controversial, I think, but it doubles the dark sight boost capacity. So now solo players that have Magpie will have 10 seconds of dark sight instead of the usual 5. And then also it doubles the dark sight boost gain from looting and clues. So if you loot a body, you get 2 seconds instead of 1. And again, that's only if you have Magpie and are solo. And the next trait update with this was Serpent. So now for solo players, Serpent now works from 50 meters away instead of the usual 25. So you don't have to get as close, and you can dip if you need to. And then the final change that kind of affects solo players, they updated the underdog bonus change. So now solo versus duos gets 300, solo versus trios gets 600, and duos versus trios gets 150. I imagine they did this to encourage players to maybe not play with a full team, and that could help some of the matchmaking woes, especially when a contract is active. Okay, and then we have quick play recruits. They've added more variation to the starting equipment for quick play hunters, but they added more weapons that quick play hunters can get from the random pool. Next in this update is lootable saddles, which is an in-world item where you can get either consumables and hunt dollars or a lootable weapon, and these will be attached to hitching posts around the world or strapped to dying horses. Those are the sound traps you run into every game. The devs did say that this will be more rare, kind of akin to finding a cash register, so you won't see them all over the place, but they will give you options. And also, it's worth noting, the consumables in these saddlebags can be consumables that you don't get in a toolkit, such as a health syringe or something like that. And then we saw a revamp of Weeping Stone Mill on DeSalle. That's that compound by the water. And there is now a lower water entrance, so you can actually enter from the water side. And then there's a staircase in the downstairs to that water entrance. So there are more options there, and you can explore that again on the test server. Okay, let's quickly go through the other changes. The Stalker Beetle explosion damage got increased to 25. They said they were too modest with the Stalker Beetle, and this should increase its utility. They increased the choke and poison bolt clouds area of effect. Again, this only affects the hand crossbow. This is the choke and poison bolt, but now those are covering a larger area. They also added new loading screens and tips. So new players will get new tips, whereas veteran players might get a different pool of ideas and tips in the loading screen. The LeMat carbine saw a rate of fire increase, so be sure to check out the LeMat carbine on the test server. They also further improved interior footstep audio, and that's the interior audio that they adjusted before. So inside, above you, or below you on wooden floors should be more clear. And then they also adjusted it to where when you play quick play, you can see the trait you receive on the ticker. And then they also showed the legendary content coming with this, and some of it looks very cool. I'll show that in the background as I tell you some other things that you should be aware of. The developer update video should be live either right now while you're watching this video or soon after. And that's that roadmap video that we've been hearing a lot about. The dev said it is a longer video, so you can carve out time to watch it, but also I'll be making a breakdown, impressions, kind of summary thing whenever that goes live. So you can come back here and subscribe to this channel for more interesting stuff like that. Something to keep in mind: one, definitely download the test server. You're gonna want to try this one out, but also it might be a good time to get friends into the game with the basic and advanced tutorial. It's looking very promising, and there's something I want to talk about more on this channel, and I've alluded to it a little bit. I think you'll start to see a shift in Hunt Showdown. It feels like there is a very clear direction of where the game should be headed, and I imagine you'll keep seeing that as these updates come out. We're going to talk about this update more on the channel, so I don't want to give too many impressions. Hopefully this catches you up to speed. Let me know your favorite addition. It's pretty hard to pick because this feels very Operation Health. There will be a roadmap breakdown soon. Until the next video, goodbye.